It's so nice to see everyone again virtually. You're on Music and Chat with Shirley Ong, and it's a great afternoon from me to you from the East Coast of America, where I am. And our guest as well when you finally meet him in a few seconds. But please say hi in the live chat and let us know where you're tuning in from. And don't be backward and coming forward. And remember to put any questions you may have also in the live chat, and I shall attend to them as the stream moves along. So today's topic is quite interesting indeed. You've probably heard of songwriters, but perhaps not so much the term topliner. The skill of toplining has its beginnings in the R&B and dance music in the 80s, where topliners worked with the producers to create lyrics and melodic hooks over pre-made beats, even full backing tracks. Classic songwriting, though, used to involve the separate roles of composer and lyricist. Think Rodgers and Hammerstein, where the lyrics often took Hammerstein weeks to craft before Rodgers could write the music. Then you have Bacharach and David, and Lloyd Webber and Rice, with a mute. And John and Toppin. That's right. And that was Gordon talking to me, even though you can't see him yet. But you will in a few seconds. Where, yes, some would write the music first, and others would write the lyrics first. But our guest today is our good friend Gordon Chambers, winner of 8 ASCAP Songwriting Awards, and a member of the songwriting team behind many hits. So let us welcome Gordon, please. And here's some applause to welcome him in with. Welcome, Gordon, and thanks so much for joining us in Music and Chat.
Let's clap for you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Clap for you for having me and for spreading knowledge and information and inspiration about music and songwriting. We thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. Thank you, everybody. And I try my best, as we all know. I try my best. And I'm so happy to have you here today. You've top-lined such hits as Anita Baker's I Apologize and Grammy-nominated songs such as If You Love Me by Brownstone and Missing You, the theme from the movie Set It Off, performed collectively by Brandy, Tamia, Gladys Knight, and Chaka Khan. We are intrigued by how the process between producers, topliners, and artists work, and really want to know how it differs from classic songwriting. So we're glad you're here to help us understand, and we have much to cover because Gordon has been very industrious indeed, and I've managed to pick 4 different songs/artists to talk about. And again, viewers, if you do have questions, please put them in the live chat and I will bring them into our conversation so that Gordon can answer them for you. So the first one, we'll discuss your first writing project, which was with producer Dave Hall for Brownstone's If You Love Me, which reached number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100. And it was also co-written with Nicole Gilbert of Brownstone. Gordon, please tell us how you acquired this gig writing melody and lyrics, aka Topline.
Well, thank you for asking. There was such a long history even before I got to meet with Dave Hall. You know, that was a life-changing opportunity, that songwriting session. And If You Love Me was not the first song we wrote, but just getting a chance to meet with him and write other things with him led to that opportunity later. But before that, you know, I was as a kid in New Jersey, Teaneck, New Jersey was where I was raised. I played piano, I played the trumpet, and I started writing songs in 4th, 5th grade. So I was a writer, composer. I was writing my little songs at the piano and just showing them to people. So I didn't, you know, I started out as a writing, fully 100% writer. I didn't really understand until, like you said, later on I started networking in the more professional recording industry, so to speak, that there were guys making tracks. It was very foreign to me. That's why this is a very interesting interview, because it takes me back to my childhood. The first time I started going out to network people and I'm like, oh, there are these producers that have tracks. It was very strange to me that you go to a producer house and he'd play like 50, 60, I mean, he could even hundreds of tracks, just track after track after track that they had made with no lyrics. it was weird to me. Like it was strange. Like come in and like hear these beats and see if you like one, and then write something to it.
Oh.
It was just like it was very weird. Like so I'm
Mm.
just supposed to imagine a whole world like where I had no involvement in the chords or the chord changes. But the producers I worked with, if I didn't like the chords, I always gravitated to tracks that had good chord changes that I liked, that reminded me of something that I could play on the piano
Yeah.
or would create the chord structure on the piano myself.
Yeah.
So they were like, there was no attachment. Like if you don't like the track, don't force it.
Mm.
Because they understood that the organic chemistry was going to come from the lyricist and melodic person writer really liking the track.
Yeah.
And they also said like because I played the piano, they always like if when they played me tracks, if they're like if there's something you hear in the track, a chord change that you hear, show it to us.
Mm.
Some of them would even take take songs or chord patterns that I was making on the keyboards, and they would put the beats or the production behind it. But
Ah.
many of them just had beats and beats and beats and beats. So I started working out with a lot of more up and coming producers
Mm.
in the industry, writing lyrics for them, and singing, because this is where my singing really served me well.
Mm.
Because I couldn't just write the songs, but I could also sing the demos. And I would have to sing, like if it was a female voice, I could still imitate a female voice singing in my falsetto. I became very good at imitating voices that we wanted to pitch songs to, and then stacking all the harmonies and the background vocals. So you would write sort of like the hook and then stack the background vocals, and then the producer would take them, chop them up, edit them, mix the blends. And I'd be very involved with that, with how blended, how the harmonies were arranged. I was really very extremely involved with that. And then they would take usually the hook and then fly the hook in to the different choruses. So sometimes what you do is you'd write the chorus first in order to make time efficient. You'd write the chorus first, because in R&B and pop, the chorus is king. You have to have a catchy chorus and something repetitive, something that's very singable. So a lot of times in these songwriting sessions, when I listen to a track, I'm listening to, okay, does this inspire a title? Does this inspire a hook? Write the hook first, show the producer the hook. If they like it, and usually in these situations, you're trying to move quickly.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't like that, or like I like that, but change this, or blah blah blah. But once they heard something that you liked, then you'd go into the room, stack the background vocals. Then while the producer is stacking the background vocals, blending the background vocals, and flying them into the places, very oftentimes, then you're writing the verses. So you're stacking it piece by piece. Sometimes you're co-writing. Sometimes in some of these sessions, there was an artist there who was also a songwriter, and sometimes they were not as skilled or as as a traditional songwriter, like I do this all the time, but sometimes they have ideas and stories that they want to tell. So sometimes you're talking to them, getting the stories that they want to tell you and crafting that, or showing them melodies. Sometimes they have pieces of ideas that you're sort of taking, fleshing it out. And that's often where your verses are coming in, and then you're doing that. Then you come back in, then you lay down the verses.
So was Nicole Gilbert a seasoned songwriter? How did she approach with the co-writing situation?
Nikki is a very seasoned songwriter. I mean, many of the songs on Brownstone's album, she wrote herself, or she wrote with the producers. So with If You Love Me, which was a demo. Now, If You Love Me was one of many, many, many demos of songs that I wrote with Dave Hall once him and I started working together regularly. It was not the first song we wrote, but it was one of just many. I never thought it was the best of the bunch. I just thought it was one of many songs that I was writing with him. The first artist that he and I collaborated with, the second time I ever met him was with Phyllis Hyman. He actually invited me the second day I met him to go with him to co-write with Phyllis Hyman. Now, she at that time is this R&B huge legend. But he kind of threw me, once I submitted my music to his management company and he liked it. And he was like, we had a meeting, just him and I, for not very long. I guess he's feeling my energy out. They said, come back tomorrow, there'll be a singer here. I'm like, okay. And then the singer is this living legend, award-winning singer. So he threw me into the wolves, kind of. But once he saw that I could do that I could collaborate with him and with other artists, we just started to write together regularly. And then he ended up sending that song to many artists. I think he wanted to pitch it to Jade, the group Jade, and I think they passed on it, but we wrote another song. We wrote something else for Jade. I think, if I recall correctly, I think they may have passed on it, but he sent it to Brownstone and they liked it.
Oh.
And what they did was they did their own demo of it.
Oh.
Nicole ended up writing the bridge. Oh, I wanna touch you, baby. My original demo didn't have that part of the song. She wrote that part of the song, and they did their own demo, and she added that. And when I heard their demo of it, it sounded really crazy to me. Like I didn't feel like the two styles of writing matched. Like it felt just different. Like and then once they stacked their vocals. First of all, once I heard it sung by a female perspective rather than me when I sang it as a man, and because Brownstone has these big choir-like vocals and they stack the harmonies really big, when I heard the demo, and I wasn't there when they did it, so once I heard the demo, I mean, I was like, this, I didn't love it. It's weird and disconnected and disjointed to me. Then they came to LA and we're recording the song. So then when we get there to record the song, then I see like how big she's stacking the vocals. And so I thought that was just for the demo, but I didn't think it was going to be like that because the demo was much more soft and melancholy. When she sang it and the group sang it, it turned into this female anthem. I never envisioned it as a female anthem in any way, but that's what it became. And then the bridge started to make more sense when I heard it all put together the way they sang it. And,
so you're saying that originally when the idea came about, and did the idea come about for the song "If You Love Me" as was the song title thrown out first, or was there a theme, or how did the title come first, or what just kind of messing about come first, and then
I wrote all of the lyrics and the melody to Dave's track.
Okay.
And then Nikki wrote the bridge piece.
Okay.
And then added it on a later demo. And then we all went to the studio together and recorded the whole thing. But once the record came out, also what was very different was Dave took the drums out of the first verse.
Okay.
When we were in the studio recording it, he decided to take the drums out. The original demo, which I wish I could find, had the drums in it. And I said, Dave, why are you taking the drums out? Like, this is just weird. Like, why are you doing that? And it was harder for Nikki to get the time. So it was taking longer to record. He said, Gordon, he said, you stick to the writing, let me stick to the producing. And he said, and people need to hear these words. That's what he said.
I see.
And he got very irate. He said, people need to hear these words. And when the record came out, it has no drums until the chorus. So you really do listen to the lyrics. So he was really honoring me as a lyricist, you know, in the way that he produced the records and like making people focus on what I had to say. And I'm forever grateful.
So when it came to writing the chorus, was there a particular lyric or melodic phrase that kind of spoke to you immediately as the heart of the song?
I think it was the question, if you love me. Like, it's not a love song. It's not a love song. It's a song about communication, really.
I thought for a moment that it might be an ultimatum. Like,
I think it's many things to many people. You know, I think it's, but it's if you love me. It's not a declaration. It's not asking from, you're not really sure. You want clarity. You want communication. You know, it's but the chords are da, 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 da. The chords are melancholy. There's a kind of like they don't. The chord pattern never resolves. So I think lyrically, I was thinking about when I think subconsciously, and nobody has ever asked me this. Thank you for asking.
My pleasure.
It's a pleasure to be interviewed about songwriting as a process. I think I was trying to figure out resolution, communication, clarity. I mean, I was also young and I was dating in my life and trying to figure out a bunch of horrible relationships that were just a mess. So I think I was trying to heal myself, you know, really like, I think all of my songs, I've always been trying to be a healer through music. So in the lyrics that I write, you know, no matter what style of music, I believe in love. I believe in healing. I believe that music has healing power. I think that's, as a lyricist, that's what I'm always trying to do. Even as a singer, as a performer, when I'm singing music of mine that I've written or not, I want somebody to feel that they have healed or been uplifted. That's very important to me.
Absolutely. So, with that said, I do have the album cover, and I will display it right now of that particular song, If You Love Me. And I also have a picture that Gordon provided of Dave, who is, it seems, is a very private person, but
Yes.
Gordon managed to find this photo for me to display with him and Dave when they were very young.
Yes.
And a group of young ladies who were signed on by Dave
Yeah.
to his label.
Yes.
So how did the songwriting mechanism with Dave work? Did he usually have prepared tracks?
Yes. Dave would have tracks, and he would call me, like, come over, I got some new tracks, and I'd just go through the tracks. Sometimes he'd have very one specifically, like, I need you to write something to this track for this person. Because Dave was a very in-demand producer at the time. So artists were calling him all the time for work, for songs. So he would usually very often tell me who he needed to pitch songs to at the time. Sometimes it'd be a very specific track that, say, perhaps an artist or an A&R person may have already indicated that they liked, but not necessarily, but it would be like, but, Dave also just had a library of tracks. I mean, he was very prolific, and, he was always home. He was a homebody. He wasn't really like a partying kind of guy. He's, like you said, he's a very private person. So he was in the lab, and really the job was to come there and write songs. Him and I never really spent a lot of personal time together. I mean, we'd spend time together at his house, and I knew his kid, one of his sons passed away very sadly from asthma. That was very, very, very sad.
Yeah.
To know that I knew him as a little toddler, but, and I knew his girlfriend at the time. So, I mean, I knew his camp, I knew his engineer. There was some friends of his that I knew, but it was a very much of a working relationship. His studio was in the basement. We'd come and we'd crank it out. We'd get to work, because a lot of times at that time I had a day job. I worked at that time in the 90s. I worked at Essence magazine until 1997. So a lot of times when I'd be going to meet Dave, it would be after work. So I'd work and I'd get there like 7 o'clock in the evenings. And by like 10 o'clock in the night, I don't know how, to be honest, I don't even know how I did this.
I was going to ask you, if you had such an array of, productions to choose from, how do you decide which one you want to start with? And how do you get the creative tap working then and there? Do you have like a secret?
Part of the job as being a top liner.
Right.
And you're in the essence of this job. Is as a top liner, your job is to get in there with other writers who have tracks and make it happen. There's a lot of pressure to be a top liner, because like these producers have all these tracks, but they can't do anything with the tracks. So they're just praying and hoping that somebody walks in that makes it pop, that makes it hot, that brings magic to it on the spot. So it really is a lot of pressure. And for me, I used to come after work. So I don't know how I managed my schedule, how I would get there. So a lot of times I'd be on pressure myself, because I couldn't sleep in these people's houses. Like I'd have to get there from like 7 o'clock, usually by the time I get there, to like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock to wrap up and write, demo, not just write it, but demo it and blah, blah, blah. And, be done with it.
So I was going to say, as a young person, you only have so much life experience to write from. Did you ever live vicariously from someone else's eyes? Let's say, I'm going to now step into the shoes of my sister or my cousin and see if I can write from their perspective. Have you ever done that?
Well, I've always been a study of songs. So even I was very young when I started I was like 22, 23 when I started working with Dave and Phyllis Hyman and Nikki and them. We're young, very young. So, and expected to work at a very high professional level, you know what I mean? But young, but by that time I had studied music my whole lifetime, whether just in music lessons, but just also my father's vinyl. My father had thousands of records, from Miles Davis to Gloria Lynn to Bob Marley to Jimmy Cliff, who died today, who was a friend of the family because I'm Jamaican, to, Simon and Garfunkel, to disco records. Disco records have great lyrics, by the way. People don't realize, like, Young Hearts Run Free is brilliantly written.
Mm.
So, I was born in the 70s. So I had this whole encyclopedia of music that I was really studying
Mm-hmm.
and studying how the songs were written. I loved Ashford and Simpson because Daddy
Mm-hmm.
loved Diana Ross. So, my mother loved Dionne Warwick. So
Mm-hmm.
even just at home, and I was listening to the radio, I was listening to, my mother liked to listen to like the Light FM stations, great adult contemporary, brilliant songwriting. So, and we were reggae. In reggae, there was a lot of reggae covers. So I was always listening to songs. So I was referring to other songs, but also, yes, but I mean, I was young, so not of all of it was in my lived experiences because I was young. I mean, I did have some life experiences and some, the best songs are out of heartbreak. There was some heartbreak even at a young age. But also, it was also my philosophies. The things, if not of the songs were of personal experiences, but they were of the things that I would believe.
Mm-hmm.
But as a writer, you're also just imagining, like,
Mm-hmm.
just imagining, especially if you're trying to pitch a song to an artist, you're just like studying their catalog and imagining a life experience that they would have, or, it's almost like playwriting. You're just kind of creating a character.
Absolutely. Moving on to the next artist/song, it's I Apologize from Anita Baker's fifth album, Rhythm of Love, which won a Grammy. And
Yes.
this was a collab you had with producer Barry Eastman, and you again contributed lyrics and melody.
Yes.
We already talked about this, how being a singer kind of helps a lot, is an advantage in many ways when you start crafting lyrics and melodies. But how about phrasing and articulation?
Yeah.
Does it come naturally, or do you have to consider it?
For me, it comes naturally because I'm a singer.
Mm-hmm.
So, and first of all, thank you to, rest in peace once again, Phyllis Hyman. I have to give her honor and glory and praise and gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
because it was her that Dave Hall introduced me to her the second day I met Dave Hall. But Phyllis met me and she took a great interest in me,
Mm-hmm.
and immediately became like a mentor. And she's like, I need to talk to you. I need to keep in touch with you. Is it okay with Dave? I said, yeah, it's fine. Like, can I introduce you to Barry Eastman? Can I introduce you to some other producers I'm working with? I'm like, yes, you can. Thank you, Jesus. And so she introduced me to Barry, and I knew exactly who he was revered his catalog. So she was the one who introduced me to him and took me to her house to help her. And then, of course, he kept me in his camp to continue writing songs with him as well. And we became very close, personal, friends and beautiful collaborators. So it was after, like I said, the first project with Barry was Phyllis, but after a while of continuing to write with him, he was simultaneously working on the I Apologize.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, working on the Rhythm of Love album. He'd been the primary producer for that album.
Mm-hmm.
And they had an unfinished song, I Apologize. It was just an idea with just like some chord changes, and it was her concept, I Apologize. So there was like a little dummy demo, not even really a demo. It's like more like just a jam session with her just saying,
she had lyrics to it already, or just melody?
Title, the concept, I Apologize, was her title.
Just a title?
No lyrics, no melody, but the title and like a sketches of a melody, of a mood, of a feeling.
Right.
Over some chord changes by Barry. So he played me that. He's like, do you like this? I said, yes, I do. Because I could really imagine her singing about apologizing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I was gonna say, because she has her own way of delivering her she has a style of phrasing and articulation and handling lyrical stuff, and she had the Anita Baker style. So I wondered how you kind of melded yours with her to a way where she was satisfied and happy with the end result. That must be a tough type of situation.
Yeah. Well, it was tough. And Barry said, Gordon, he said, we're done with the album. She's coming to town to master it. But that little nugget of an idea has always haunted me. Right. If I make a track to this, can you write something to this quickly and demo it and let me send it to her? Let me mail it to her, because this is before MP3s. Yeah. And I want her to listen to it on the way to mastering. He said, I'm just going to take a crazy chance, but I feel like strongly about this. And that's what he did. And so I had to write it very quickly and just had to imagine her phrasing, operator, get my baby on the line. And I just sang in her kind of phrasing. And then he sent it to her. And then basically while she was mastering, he said, you know, if you like that song I sent you, you want to do a quick vocal of it upstairs in the studio, because it was a studio that Hit Factory that had rooms for mastering and vocals. He said, you know, we have some credit in the studio for the next upcoming album. Do you want to just lay a vocal of it since it's fresh in your mind? And she said, sure.
Yeah.
So she went up there and sang it, and he knew it was going to be a hit. So he told the engineer, he said, go ahead, don't tell Anita, but mix this now. We'll work out the business later, but mix it now, because he felt it was going to be a hit.
Yeah.
So when they went into the second day of mastering, he said, Anita, I have a surprise for you. And he played it for her. And if that's why you hear my vocals on the background vocals, because she didn't have time to do her own background vocals or adding, that's just me and her. And she loved it. And she loved the way that I sang it. She told me, I went to the studio the other day to say hello. With goosebumps. I was so like, oh my God, Anita Baker. But like, she told me that she liked my vocal tone, that it reminded her of Marvin Winans, actually, who's a great gospel singer from Detroit, who was a friend of hers. So she gravitated to something about the tone of my singing it, touched her. Even though I was trying to imitate her, she said she took to it because my singing tone reminded her of Marvin Winans. And that was an amazing, amazing like compliment, because I'm a huge fan of Marvin Winans. So the singing tone touched her, the story touched her. Barry took a chance. Phyllis took a chance introducing me to Barry, and Barry took a chance introducing, you know, it was all, you know, happenstance and God's good grace.
There you go. So the next question is, how do you keep your melodies fresh and avoid repetition? It must be very easy to jump back into maybe the 3 words that you use very often type of situation. How do you keep the vocabulary fresh, or the way you deliver the same feeling or emotion but with different words? How do you change those about? Did you mute yourself? I don't hear you anymore.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. Sorry about that.
That's right.
First of all, I don't think repetition is bad. I think that having a style is a good thing. So you want to be a signature brand. I think that people always told me, because I think I've written a lot of different kinds of songs. So when people's like, oh, we knew that was a Gordon Chambers song when we heard it. I'm like, really? I'm like, what is it? They said it's because if the way I stacked the way I would arrange the vocals, they could tell. But they said that also there was a lyrical style of a conversational, that my songs read almost like literature, like a conversation.
Okay.
So that's what people have told me about my style. I think I'm trying to just be honest in the moment. I'm like really trying to say how I really feel, and I'm in touch with my feelings. Like I'm very in touch with my feelings. Sometimes it's annoying to my friends, but like I can always find the words because I'm honest and authentically in tune with how I feel at the moment.
So you think it's okay to deliver the same concern the same way because that's being genuine, that's being authentic?
I don't think, when I say no, I don't, I'm going to be careful what I'm saying. I'm not saying that
I'm not testing you in any way.
I'm just trying to clarify it for myself.
Okay.
I'm not saying that like I want my songs to sound the same as each other, and I don't think that they do. What I'm saying is, instead of speaking about myself, I speak about songwriters that I love.
Okay.
Like I love Ashford and Simpson very much. I'm actually going to a Friendsgiving party tonight at the Sugar Bar, which is a restaurant that people.
Nice.
I love their body of work. They've written for, Diana Ross, just tons and tons of, most famously Marvin Gaye, Mountain High Enough. In their songwriting, I can hear melodically, there's a brightness and a bigness and a gospel quality to their melodies, but the lyrics are fresh. The words are telling different kinds of stories but there's a continuity, not repetitive, but there's a continuity between all of their songs in the way the songs feel in terms of the nuance or the vibration. And that, I think, is a good thing. That's a brand. As a songwriter, you want to have a brand of a sound, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Speaking of which, I do have the album cover, which I will display now, of Anita Baker's I Apologize. You can see the front and the back. And I do have, of course, a picture of you with Barry Eastman at the Anita Baker show in 2009 that you have supplied me with.
Yes.
And I do have a couple of others which I could show if you like. There is the two of you with Chaka Khan, I believe. And, of course, with Carl Thomas as well. I've got that picture that you sent me.
I may have sent you a picture with Anita, probably, too.
If you did, I don't think I have it here.
Okay.
I apologize.
Believe me, I do.
So Barry Eastman has worked with and written for such artists as Billy Ocean, Britney Spears, Whitney Houston, George Benson, Steve Perry, Chaka Khan, and more. And he occupies a special place in your life, Gordon. And you've had the chance to present him with a Lifetime Achievement Award. And you have also lent me a clip of the speech that you gave prior to the presentation, which I will play now. So let's lead ourselves to...
So, without further ado, it gives me great honor to introduce you to a Grammy Award winning songwriter producer himself. Here to present and accept the award for Mr. Barry Eastman is no other than Mr. Gordon Chambers. Gordon Chambers.
Talking about the love zone, because all of his music is about love, about relationships, and about what brings human beings closer together. It is my esteemed honor to present this award tonight to somebody who's been a mentor, a big brother to me. I was, wanted to do this right. So he was born in Brooklyn, where I live. Come to Brooklyn and hang out with us. And growing up, in Teaneck, New Jersey, my parents collected records. And so many of the liner notes of those records were, I would see this name, Barry J. Eastman. And I'd be like, who is that man? I want to meet that man. And God would have it that the late, great Phyllis Hyman, who passed almost 30 years ago, but is still in our hearts, one day brought, I met her in another session, and she took a chance and just took a liking to me, and she said, I want to introduce you to somebody. And she brought me to Barry's house. And that began a beautiful relationship, a partnership that blessed my life, changed my life. Together, we wrote songs I just counted for Nancy Wilson, Glenn Jones, Regina Bell, Stephanie Mills, Will Downing, Najee, Aretha Franklin, Elizabeth Withers, Mickey Howard, Gerald Levert, Carl Thomas, Freddie Jackson, Yolanda Adams, Whitney Houston, give it up for her, Chaka Khan, Tamia, Brandy, Gladys, and Anita Baker's I Apologize. Thank you, Barry, for changing my life at 22 years old. Thank you for being always so humble, so gracious, so kind, for being an example of not just how to do what you do well, but make people feel well who do what they do with you. Thank you for empowering me. Thank you for who you will forever be for music. Ladies and gentlemen, stand to your feet and give it up for Barry Eastman. He's worthy to be praised.
So Gordon, do you think as a songwriter, particularly a lyricist, do you feel like you're imprinting in every song that you write a bit of your emotional self in the lyrical form, in the form of the words that you provide? Because, most songwriters or composers do genuinely feel that, musically speaking, they're putting a bit of themselves in their work. But as a lyricist, do you feel that you're able to I think I use the word imprint because I feel like you're kind of you're stamping, you're stamping a bit of your own expression of how you feel or your thoughts about a certain topic or theme in this piece of music, and you're then sharing it with all these people who listen to it. Do you feel like you're hoping as well, you know, depending on the theme of the song, of course, if it's a positive song, that the people who listen to the songs with your lyrics get to experience and gain from what you're wanting to say? I know
Absolutely.
it's very long-winded, but
no, it's the essence of me. So thank you for that question.
Mm-hmm.
You answered the question perfectly. Your question answered the question, but absolutely, I am truly, I stand by every lyric that I've ever written. I stand by it. If I haven't lived it, I believe in it. And it is legacy, and it is diary.
Mm-hmm.
It is honesty. It is authenticity. It is autobiography. You know, lyrics changed worlds. You know, my idol of all idols, above all other idols, is Stevie Wonder. Mm. And I'll never forget first of all, I'll never forget the day I first met Stevie Wonder. And he sang I Apologize in my ear the day I met him for the first time. At the Essence Awards, where I used to work at Essence, the magazine. Mm-hmm. That was my day job. We had an award ceremony. That's where I first met him. But my idol of all idols is Stevie Wonder. And I'll never forget when Stevie, you know, the song Happy Birthday for Martin Luther King that he wrote became a huge hit and led indirectly to Martin Luther King Day being instituted as a national holiday. Mm-hmm. Like, a song changed public policy. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm Jamaican, so the first songwriter that I probably really heard more than anybody else and idolized, really as a child, was Bob Marley. And Bob Marley was very political. You know, there's a famous moment in that documentary where they was warring politicians, Edward Seaga and Michael Manley, who were, you know, running against each other, and it became like almost like political civil war. He got them together in a famous clasp of hands in a show of unity at his concert. This is like a moment where music was bigger than politics, you know, the power of music. So I grew up believing in that, you know, historically. And so I take lyric writing very seriously in terms of that. Once it's recorded and somebody hears it, it can make a difference. Think about music in your own lives. Think about when you're having a bad day, what you play that comforts you. Think about when you're having a fabulous party, you know, your friends are coming over and you want to dance. What that record might be. Maybe it's Tyler, Make Me Sweat, Make Me Howl. Maybe it's September by Earth, Wind & Fire. Whatever it is, you know, something that just makes you feel good and gets you on the dance floor because you're making a memory with somebody you love. You're dancing your joy with somebody you probably love or have a crush on, whatever. You know what I mean? So you're making a memory. So think about a funeral service when you're choosing songs. One of the great honors of my life is that another song Barry and I wrote, Missing You, is performed at services and memorials all the time. It's chosen, you know, either performed like live or they'll have the song playing while caskets are rolling. So somebody has buried their mother or their father. Lost a lot of friends who've lost. I've lived through a lot of grief. My parents, I still have my parents, but I've lived a lot of grief in the last 5 years. So just knowing that something that I've written or co-written has been a part of the music, the music has been a part of the chapters of people's lives. That's the greatest honor ever, you know? So I take it very seriously. I want more great songwriting. see in a generation, I do a lot of mentoring, a lot of vocal coaching. I work with a lot of young artists, really talented singers and performers. But I get concerned about the greatness of the craft of songwriting. That it's almost like, are people concentrating on it as much as they used to, or are people appreciating it as much as they used to? Sometimes I hear a song like, I love that Lady Gaga Bruno Mars duet. What a amazing song. You know what I mean? I mean, did you see virally, there was a little kid, maybe 7, 8, maybe 8 years old, who sang, it went viral. He sang it at his mother's funeral. The little 8-year-old boy, he sang it. That's how great and durably it was written. So when I write, but I encourage people who are watching this, who are maybe songwriters or aspiring songwriters, write your heart out. Go deep, because those are the songs that are going to stand the test of time, and that are going to move politics, move culture, make memories. We need more of those.
Does that also mean that you might not accept a job that might lead to lyrics that have, negative connotations, not such a great feeling about it? Would you say, I'm sorry, I'm not fit for this task?
It really hasn't. I haven't really been asked to do those kinds of jobs where I turned it down. It has more so been like, when I've tried it, the song didn't get chosen for the project because I was not the most authentic person for that kind of writing. And listen, I like all kinds of songs. I mean, I love R. Kelly as a songwriter. I don't see nothing wrong with the little bump and grind. It's amazing. Like, that's not a song, that's not a lyric that would come to me, but it's great. You know what I mean? So sometimes more like danceable, more of the younger swaggalish, more swag of today's slangs and swags. That's also not the way I talk. So if I'm being, I can't, I think authenticity connects in songwriting, but I love it. I love it all. You know what I mean? So it's more so like, when I was trying perhaps to do that thing that wasn't my thing, it didn't probably connect.
So let's move on to our third artist and song. It's One Voice from Brandy's album Never Say Never, which became the official UNICEF theme song from their 50th anniversary, with Brandy as the spokesperson. Gordon, you co-wrote this with producer Phil Gadsden. How different was Phil as a songwriting partner from Dave and Barry?
Oh yeah, Phil is a very serious songwriter. Like, he teaches actually songwriting. He's the head of the songwriting department, professor at NYU. He's a very serious songwriter. I remember I met him at the ASCAP Pop Awards, the year that Missing You, I think, was nominated, or If You Love, one of them. And we kept in touch, and we started writing together. Like towards the end of my time at Essence, shortly in that time of that transition. So we started writing together after work. And I remember, like, my big boss at Essence called me into work one day, because I was really I was moonlighting. Like, I had these hit records and I was coming to work during the day. And they were very supportive, but I was late sometimes. I was falling asleep during meetings, still getting the job done, but I was like not in the corporate culture like I was when I first started. Like, you know what I mean? Because my mind was all over the place, and still getting the job done. I never did not get my job done. I never didn't get it well. I did not. But my boss one day called me into the office. She said, Gordon, she said, I think it's time for you to go, and it's time for you to grow.
Oh dear.
So I'm like, what are you saying to me? Like, what? She said, yeah, it's like that time has come. Like, you've got, you're doing great in your music career. And she said, I could keep you here forever, but the world would be denied of all that God is now pivoting you to do. So she said, it's time for you to train your assistant, who's amazing, to learn and take over your position. You brought us somebody great. And in 6 weeks, it's going to be your time to go. So I was like, oh my God, am I being fired? I'm an overachieving kid. So like, what the hell is this? So, but she was liberating me like a mother. Like, it's time for you to. She's like a mother figure to me. Like, it was time for you to go and to grow. So I remember going to Phil's house that evening and telling him that story. I am flabbergasted. I'm gagging, and my mind is all over the place. So I got to his house. I told him the story, and I just ended up taking a nap. I think my mind was just all over. I just ended up taking a little nap on his couch. He said, "Don't worry, Gordon." He said, "Tonight you're going to write the greatest song of your life." That's what he literally said. So when I woke up, he was playing some chords on the piano, because Phil is a what you call a traditional, like you in the beginning of the interview, like a traditional composer writer.
Right.
He writes at the piano.
Okay.
And writes lyrics, and also, and he's a piano, so he writes, and so do I. So writing with Phil was different. It was more like how I wrote as a child before I met the producers like the Daves and the Barrys. But Barry and I would write some songs from scratch too at the piano as well, because Barry's a brilliant pianist. But a lot of what Barry and I did was more like tracks. But Barry, we also did. Dave, it was always just tracks.
So with Dave, when he played back his tracks, did you sit yourself at an instrument, or you didn't have to do that? You didn't.
My voice was the instrument.
Okay.
My voice, my background vocals, and the way I orchestrated the harmonies, and
Got it.
my voice became the instrument.
And with Barry, you did something similar as well.
Very similar, yes. But sometimes Barry and I would sit at the piano as well together. Mostly not, but sometimes.
Right.
But Phil, it was always we'd both sit at the piano. So when I
see.
wake up from being on the couch of this shock of my life nap, he's playing these chords, and he said, and then this melody came to my mind, and that first line, I had a dream, a crazy vision, because I was in a dream. Like those two lyrics in that melody kind of came to me out of like this dream, because he said, "Don't worry, Gordon, tonight you're going to write the greatest song of your life." And it literally, like, in many ways, I think did become the greatest song of my life. The biggest song in terms of humanitarian hopes and ideals that night. And so we worked on that song, One Voice, because Phil is a very different tempo of songwriting. Like, sometimes I'd write songs with Dave in like a half an hour. Phil was much more slower, methodical. Sometimes we'd work on one song for like a week. Like just going over lyrics, going over changes, going like, literally, like he was a master. Not to say that Dave is not a master craftsman as well, but just a different kind of craftsman in the way that we would both sculpt it very slowly. And
what was he most focused on when he's paying attention to these details? What did he like to do, and what did he not like?
Phil would be very focused on lyrics. Very focused on lyrics, whether I was writing them or the lyrics or he was writing them. Like, even if I was coming up with the lyric, he would be countering. Is that the best way to say it? Not like negatively countering, but like it's almost like you have two people who both really care about words. So you're both really involved with making sure that for each word, each phrase has the most meaning that it can have.
Did he therefore have a similar way of speaking to you, of delivering an idea or emotion? How someone talks.
Yes.
He did.
Phil and I became very good friends in a very different way than I did with Dave and Barry. It was a different kind of relationship, because it's a different kind of person. Phil and I, because we're both like primarily lyricists, so we would talk about books and life, and we talk about life a lot, because a lot of times the songs we were working were about life, so we would talk about family and pain and heartache, and we'd really talk about it. And we do a lot of talking, and it was a different kind of relationship. Like, it was, the other guys were more like, okay, let's get to work. This was more like, let's sit and talk about your life and talk about my life, and in that the song will come out of that. It was more it's a different kind of relationship and different kind of writing too.
Did you find that more along the lines, more enjoyable for you? Or it was just a different style?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. Sometimes sometimes yes, and sometimes no, because sometimes I wanted to get in and out.
Yeah.
I wanted to like do it my way. I wanted to say it my way,
Yeah.
write it my way, sing it my way, and go home.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, this was more like going over everything. It was much more detailed, but beautifully. The songs we've done were just absolutely beautiful and more pop. You know, Phil is more of a pop songwriter. He
Right.
was for Celine and Vanessa Williams, so it was a different kind of, just a different kind of writing, a different kind of relationship. It was beautiful. It's all beautiful.
So
I love
with
it all.
so with One Voice, it's quite an emotional theme.
Yeah.
It's an anthem. I
Yes.
see it. Did you have to? And we all are aware of how Brandy's personality presents itself in her voice. You know how she carries herself as a singer. Did you have to understand or appreciate her emotional range for such a song? Or did you work with her at all, or you worked apart from her?
David Foster produced that record, so I was not there at all for that.
Oh, okay.
I know Brandy,
Yeah.
but I was not in the studio for One Voice.
So
No.
when you're coming up with the lyrics and the melodic phrases, did you consider emotional expression, to be able to carry the weight of the lyrics that you're writing? Did you hear it, feel it, write it, and then hope that she would deliver, so to speak?
No.
Oh,
We were just writing a great song. We were trying to pitch that song to Celine Dion.
oh you
Phil
were?
Phil had, I think, had written 5 or 6 songs for Celine. And so Celine was starting to look for material again.
Oh,
So
okay.
we were thinking about, Celine.
Mhm.
When you think about the song, it's very much like a song Celine would have
Yeah.
sung.
Mm-hmm.
So we were pitching Celine, and she said no. And then Phil said, "I'm going to pitch it to Brandy." I said, "Really?"
Because
I didn't-
Celine articulates so differently from Brandy.
But just in terms of the lyrical content of it, I didn't think Phil had a very good relationship with Craig Hallman, from the president of Atlantic Records. I don't know if he's still the president.
Okay.
Well, I went to college with Craig, but Phil and he had a very closer relationship. And he took a chance and pitched it to Craig. And Craig pitched it to Brandy and Rodney Jerkins, who was the executive producers, and they loved it. So they hired David Foster to produce it. When I heard One Voice, I literally cried. The innocent sound of her texture of her voice, like sounding so childlike, but with this big message, and just her innocent voice saying one voice. I got chills. I cried. It moved me so much because it almost sounded like the innocence of a child, speaking with hope to the adults. It was angelic, and the message of it. And I'm so proud. I was speaking to some friends a couple of days ago, because Brandy and Monica have been on tour, and it's the tour of the century. Everybody's talking about the tour. The tour was fabulous. And people have been telling me, they said, "Gordon, you don't know how much people loved One Voice." He said, "You really don't realize how that song was one of people's favorite songs on the album." I said, "Really?" I said, "But why?" I mean, that album had, Dark Child and had Rodney Jerkins and The Boy's Mind. Like, it was such a current kind of hot, hip album. But, One Voice was a more traditional, more adult contemporary kind of song. I said, "Really? Why?" He said, "Because it's just beautiful." He said, "It's just a beautiful song." And she sang it so beautifully, and she sang it with such hope. And he said, it makes you feel good. A friend of mine is visiting me from London. He said, and in Jamaica, they played it all the time. I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He said, it just really deeply touched people. But I think the way that it touched me the first time I heard David Foster's production of it, it's something about her voice, the innocence of her voice with the big message. Yeah.
I do have a picture of that album cover, Never Say Never. I'll just display this right now.
And I just texted you. I found a picture of Anita and I. So if you can put
very
Yeah.
nice.
Sure.
I'll try and upload it and download it.
Yeah, sorry.
So we'll look at Brandy's album cover first, and then of course we have one of Phil with Barry and Gordon.
Yep. Because the three of us have written together too.
Let me see if I can quickly airdrop this.
I just sent you a nice picture of Brandy and I too. I just sent you those two just.
Okay.
Sorry for the last minute. Guys, this is a live production. Breaking news. Right.
It is live.
They say in the news, breaking news, breaking news.
Okay, so let me upload this picture as well.
And while we're uploading, I just want to tell you, you are so wonderful. I so appreciate this chance to talk about songwriting.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I am so glad that PC introduced me to you.
Yes.
Let me just bring this picture in. This is the one with Anita Baker. Oops. Here we go. It's all coming into the stream live, everyone, so give me a few seconds.
Breaking news.
All right. Oh, where did it go? Okay, so this is the one with Anita Baker. Oops, sorry. Scale it to size. There we are. It's a little askew, but you get the picture literally and figuratively speaking.
Ooh.
And I'll bring the one with Brandy in as well.
She was so great in that concert. She and Monica, oh my God. What a night.
And that's the one with Brandy. I'll just crop it. So there we are.
There we are.
One with Brandy. Everybody.
Hey, young Brandy and young Gordon.
That's right. You haven't changed much, Gordon.
I've gained a lot of weight.
So, working with the individual styles of different producers, what do you do to find that creative chemistry? I know you're now, seasoned songwriting pals with these people, but initially when you first met them, how did you suss out their creative instincts, perhaps, or their creative slant, and hope that it would match your own instincts?
Right.
And to form a great partnership, because you're going there to work, and you need it to work, quote unquote, almost immediately, because time is waiting. Yeah.
I think that you're going. First of all, you got to know yourself. You have to know, what am I good at? What can I be counted on for? What is my strength in not just in these particular situations, but in all musical situations. So that's very important. Because then you want to be confident. Because songwriting is I'm nervous every time I have to write a song.
No.
How seasoned I am, especially every time I have to co-write. Somebody says, "Oh, do you want to write something?" And they you show them the idea. I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to show it to you. Oh, suppose you don't like it. Oh my God." To this day, I'm so nervous every time I have to show another songwriter my song. Oh my God. My immediate thing is because you're putting yourself out there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So first of all, you want to just be confident because it's human, and so you want to know who you are and what you can be counted on, what your sound is, what your brand is, so to speak, quote unquote. So that you want to know that and own that.
How long did it take for you to realize what your brand was and is, and that you continue to, dig from this brand?
I don't think I knew. I don't think I knew. I think I was trying to survive, to get from place to place, and I think I didn't start to think of it as a brand until later on. People like yourself, interviews, people have told me, years later, your body of work really made an imprint, made a legacy, made a difference. Mm-hmm. That's when I started to think about it as a brand. I didn't think about it as a brand at the time, but I started to think about life and the connectivity between it. But going into a songwriting situation, you want to go in there confident, not arrogant, but confident that you can bring something to this collaboration, because they wouldn't want you, if they could do it by themselves, they wouldn't want you there. So there's something that they want from you that they want you to do, and they want you to be confident and be passionate about it, not arrogant about it, and not be so self-conscious about it that you don't want to like show it, because it's like sometimes it's like writing, you want to be able to be bold and crazy enough to show your worst idea, so that somebody can be like, no, that's not it, but I know you have it in you, show me something else, and then you stumble upon it. Because there's been times in songwriting sessions that the thing that I thought was not great is what somebody else thought was great. You want to be confident and free and open, very vulnerable. I think to be a great songwriter, you have to be a vulnerable human being. You have to be in touch with your emotions. You have to be able to willing to cry your heart out. You have to be able to talk about your tears and your fears with your songwriting partners. You have to, even as a singer, as any kind of artist, you have to be in touch with your vulnerability. Because that's where the feelings, that's where the art comes from. The art comes from the heart. So, and be a professional. You know what I mean? I think people want to work with professional people. People want to work with people who can come and preferably on time. And if you're late, then you better be great. but really deliver a product. You know what I mean?
I do. Well, speaking of product, I do have the first page of the article that appeared in Musician magazine that you sent me, and I shall display that now. I think I can find it. Yes, here we are. Here's Musician magazine and the article, and here is a picture of you with, we talked about, I think I did display it, Phil and Barry, but the Musician magazine article, first page. I'm curious, at this point in time working with Phil, how comfortable were you with each other to be able to say, I don't like that, but no worries, I'm sure you come up with something even better?
Very comfortable. In all the songwriting relationships we're talking about, very comfortable. That's what made it great.
So I have a question about the female standpoint, because so far we've covered a lot of songs written for women, and I'm sure you've written a lot of songs for other women as well. So to write a song for the female voice and the female psyche, because some people seem to think that men and women are quite different in the way they express themselves, in the way that they in what they want from life. And things like that, that there is some separation between Venus and Mars. So how do you find the necessary ingredients if this is what you do, to be able to pen lyrics from a woman's standpoint? How do you say I have the qualifications to do this?
It's funny. Babyface has talked about this quite a bit,
right,
as well. I mean, I think that I respect women. I respect women's hearts. I respect women's ability to be vulnerable, which comes more naturally, I think, often for women than it does for men. So I'm in touch with that artistically or psychological, non-gendered part of my soul. You know what I mean? I don't think you can make great heartfelt music from the other part, from the masculine ego. I think it's got to come more from the quote unquote female sensitive soul, so to speak. I really do. I just saw this amazing documentary. It's amazing, about Jeff Buckley, who was very much he made one album and unfortunately he died very young. And, but he said, I want to be like, he said I want to be like Nina Simone. And he had somebody else, and Edith Piaf, like he covered their songs. He said like he wanted to touch people like as deeply as those and as vulnerably as those voices did. I think as a writer, I'm aiming for vulnerability very often. So that's, I think we all have male and female parts of our psychology, quote unquote. So I'm tapping into that because it's not about the gender, it's about the vulnerability that I'm going to and going from.
I hear you, and I appreciate that answer. I tend to like to think I can write for men and women, but it was an interesting thought. That's why I asked you.
It is a great question. These are all of your questions.
Thanks. So, you released your solo effort many years after the songs that we've talked about, we've discussed, and it was titled Introducing Gordon Chambers, am I right? That
It
was
was.
released in 2005. So,
Yeah.
what made you decide to finally write for yourself, and what were your goals? Did you have a goal, perhaps, or you just thought, well, I think it's about time?
No, I mean, in all these years, in all these studios with all these great writers and producers, being in the industry, I had that bug to sing and make up an album from beginning to end, to make a full statement. Like, it's a great honor to have one song on a project, and all the policies of, oh, will they choose it, and blah blah blah. But like, it's a great opportunity, but you don't have a lot of power. You know what I mean? You're at behest of somebody else's taste or opinion, or likes or dislikes or politics. It got to the point where I just felt like I wanted to make a record. I had some almost, to quote Brandy, almost doesn't count. Her song, almost doesn't count. I had some almost signings to 2 record labels, to Universal and to Motown. 2 executives, approached me about wanting to sign me, but it was complicated because the marketing people had to decide or had to get involved with the decision. It was kind of like came close, but near so far. So now I have to put the dream aside, because I sang a duet on Brownstone's first album. I sang a collaboration on Naughty by Nature's album. So I'd been on like 2 platinum albums as a singer. So people knew that in the industry that I could sing, and fans are starting to know that I can sing because they're hearing me on millions of records. So it got to the point where I wanted to do this, but it felt like it wasn't working. So I kind of was dallying with the dream, putting it aside, tucking it under the rug. But the bug was not leaving me. And finally I said, you know what, I think I want to just give this a chance, and I'll just do it independently. If I make enough of a buzz and I get signed to a major, that would be great. So that was kind of the goal, but then that didn't happen. So it was a chance for me to just take certain songs that I had pitched to other artists that they didn't take, that I thought were great, or just record some songs that friends of mine had found and written and sent to me that I thought were great. And then a chance to sing and make albums from beginning to end that really reflected the heart of me. Get out there, get on the road, do concerts and share that side of me, and share all the information and inspiration that I had found along the way into a project from beginning to end. I would say that those were some of the inspirations.
I see. So you didn't actually write the entire album then? There were some that were written by other songwriters.
On the first album, there was one song written by Troy Taylor, who was involved with a lot of the first 2 albums. And there was one amazing song. It was the last song I recorded on that album, was written by himself and Glenn Lewis. And it was a song that I guess that they had done for Glenn's project, and it didn't get accepted for the label. But he said, I think this is a great song. I think this fits your vibe. And he played it for me, and I loved it. I didn't think I could sing it. I loved it, but didn't know if I could sing it well.
What do you mean by that?
It was a different kind of singing. It was very, it was very neo-soulish, and Troy wanted it very strictly to the melody. Like the way I sang it, he was like, no riffs, no runs, very strictly to the melody. I got very mad at it when I was recording it, because I liked it, but I wanted to sing it my way. I wanted to make it jazzy, because my solo records had a bit of jazz flavoring. It's like, no, this needs to be sung very strictly, like in a certain kind of way. But I liked the song very much, but once we started recording, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if I'm going to give him the vocal that he is insisting that it be done that way. But it was hard, and Troy was rough on me as a singer. He's like, if you are Gordon Chambers in the industry and you're coming out with your first record and you've written for all these people, your vocals have to be great. He said, because people are going to listen and compare you to these. I know for you, you're like, oh, I just want to. He's like, I know you just like, I just want to sing and blah, blah. He said, no. People are going to be listening and comparing, well, can he really do this? So he was rough on me. Troy was rough on me and the booth as a singer. He was detailed, like similar to the way I said how Phil was very detailed. Troy was extremely rough. That's the only word I can't think of a more diplomatic word. He was rough. He was like, we would have major arguments, but he made sure I sounded great. And he made sure I sounded commercial and radio friendly. And so that song is the song that ended up becoming the people's favorite song on that project. That's the song people, as an artist, many people discover me as an artist if they have followed my solo career. That's the song that they'll point out.
So do you think, so from what I understand from our earlier conversation, you and Troy are from the same generation, or at least in a similar age group?
I think he's 1 year older than me, yeah.
So do you think he was tougher on you because of that as well, that you represented the gang, you know?
I think so. I think maybe it's like brothers who were like a friend, and like it's like there's no age range difference. So it's like he didn't have to be, I don't know, like there was not as much politically correct. First of all, Troy's just a very specifically kind of very direct, authentic kind of personality. That part of it's just his person, but I think that all the sort of ages thing, like, it's how you speak to your sibling, like, please, you know that's some foolishness. Come on, do it again. Like it wasn't as politically correct. And we were like in his basement, you know, and like it was more. It wasn't as, we didn't make the records and the writing sessions in as glamorous homes and studios. It was more guerrilla, and it was more to the point. We were grinding. We were grinding it out to make this new solo project. Troy was grinding it out because at that particular time, as a producer, he was in between situations. He had left a partnership where he was a part of a production company that he co-owned with somebody else, and he'd left that. It's like almost like a divorce, you know, a business divorce. This is kind of like on his own. These were humble times. Both of us were humbled by life and the industry at that time, and we were hungry.
Yeah,
and we were direct with each other. We and then he would also. This is one thing I hated. Troy would have other people there for our recording sessions.
In the same room?
In the booth, like watching. And I was so nervous, but Troy is very much a mentor of other songwriters and producers. Like Trey Songz, the artist, the young Trey Songz was a teenager. So Trey, as a teenager, was there for many of my recording sessions for my first album, In His Basement.
Wow.
So I'm there nervous because here I am singing on my first record, but I'm also like on spectacle because like all these other people that Troy is mentoring are watching me. Claude Kelly, a young Claude Kelly who's gone on to write songs for Christina Aguilera and Britney. I mean, like huge. I mean, Troy's a huge songwriter today. Huge. Fantasia, major pop hits. Claude Kelly was there, had not done anything professionally in the industry. Actually, a song on my second album that Claude wrote for me, that Troy and Claude wrote, I didn't write that song, Violins, was Claude's first ever published song ever. So he was having this mentorship experience while I'm there in the lab. And some of these people have become very lifelong friends of mine too.
That's nice.
I'm nervous on every level, but he believed in what we were doing, and he believed that it could teach. So when I look back on it, it was just beautiful because like I'm so proud of so many of those guys have gone on to do these amazing things, and we've become very close. And they look back, they say, thank you so much. I'm very emotional, but they say, thank you so much for letting us in your process and for making an imprint on us as we were watching you and Troy working together, and how much it inspired us. It's at the time I hated it, but it was nothing but God. So it was a totally different kind of atmosphere, and it was great. It's exactly what it needed to have been.
Well, with that said, I would like to display your album cover back in front, and here it is, introducing Gordon Chambers. What a beautiful album cover.
Thank you.
So you get to see the list of songs and some of the ones that Gordon was talking about.
Yeah.
And
Troy, by the way, Troy and I have also written together for songs, great songs. We wrote a #1 hit for Ronnie Isley and Patti LaBelle called Gotta Go Solo.
Right.
We wrote another #1 hit for the Isley Brothers called Just Came Here to Chill.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote together for Yolanda Adams. Troy and I wrote together for a lot of other projects as well.
Mm-hmm.
But he took a lot of time to help me put together my first 2 solo albums.
And here is a picture of Gordon and Troy.
Yes.
I was gonna say, let the viewing audience know that a track of the album titled "Touch You There" was pitched to Usher initially, and you decided to feature it on your album. How was your arrangement different from what was offered to Usher? I'm assuming there was a demo of sorts that was presented to him.
Yeah, Troy. Even before I started to talk to Troy about wanting to do my record, Troy, I would come to Troy's record house and write songs. And so Troy was trying to pitch songs to Usher. And so he came up with that track, which was very Marvin Gaye inflected. And so that was the lyric that came to me, "Can I touch you there?" Which is very risque. It's it's a slightly more sexual double entendre than a lot of the work that I do.
Mm-hmm.
So, the lyric is, "Can I touch you there? Show you that I care. Can I make a move? Baby, put a spell on you. Can I touch you there?" That's the chorus. So, thank you. I didn't change anything from what we pitched to Usher, and it got passed upon. I didn't change anything of what became my version of it than what we had pitched.
Mm-hmm.
I think I sang the vocal a little bit harder, a little grittier, because it was like going to be a final vocal as opposed to just a demo vocal.
Right.
But I didn't change anything about it. It's just a song. This goes to what you're talking about, toplining.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a song. If I had not been asked to have topline that to pitch to Usher, or as opposed to like, oh, I just want to do something for my record, I would not have thought for myself of a lyric like called "Can I Touch You There?" I would have just thought that that's like not. It's it's a little bit more risque or whatever. That's not classic Gordon Chambers. But that ended up being perfect for the kind of like record that I ended up making. It became the opening track of my album, and that's the song that I very often open my concerts with, and I love it.
Oh, it's a beautiful song. I wanted to ask, so the projects that you handle tend to be a bit more friendly and about love and relationships.
Yeah.
How did you recalibrate, I suppose, your lyrical mind to handle "Touch You There"? What did you have to do? Did the title come first? I'm just curious.
The title came there. And that was a song, like, the track had the melody, da 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 da. The melody was already in the track.
Right.
So I actually just put lyrics that just matched the melody was already in the track.
I see.
And it's very Marvin Gaye. I was really thinking of, it's very Marvin Gaye inspired.
Right.
And I was thinking like how Marvin Gaye was very sexual, but then very classy at the same time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even "Let's Get It On," there's something very, very like let's get it on. It can't get more direct than that. But there's something that's very it sounds like "Let's Get It On," but like in the most fabulous hotel with red roses and and champagne. Like there's still something that's very elegant about it. So I think I was tapping into Marvin Gaye. I mean, I grew up idolizing the music of the 70s, and you know that's my library in a way. So you know, like I said, I've always been referential and historical, trying to talk to other. I'm always trying to talk to other songs. Yeah.
So your solo project also included your rendition of Anita Baker's "I Apologize,"
In a more jazzy, kind of neo-soulish version. Yep.
and I listened to it and I loved it too, your
Thank you.
arrangement. But of course, the viewing audience might not have. So my question would be for them: in what way is yours dissimilar, and did you feel the need to have to live up to her ideals?
When I've on my solo albums, I've covered songs that I've written for others. I've covered "Missing You," "I Apologize," "If You Love Me," and "One Voice." I made 4 albums, and they've had those 4 covers. No, not at all. I'm never in competition with anything I've written for anybody else. I'm not in competition with that rendition. Those renditions came out first, and they are the renditions. So when I've covered those songs, mine becomes a cover. And I think the best way you cover a song is never by imitating it. You just do it to the best of your ability in terms of how you think it uniquely depicts your vibration. And so in all the songs that I've covered, I've done them all with live bands rather than with tracks. Because in my solo record making, I've hired brilliant friends of mine in the New York City community that are some of the best live musicians that I've come to know in New York City. Shedrick Mitchell, Raymond Angry, these are world-class touring guys that have played and toured with The Roots and Whitney and Anita Baker and Maxwell. Like, these are like top flight, amazing musicians that have played on the record. So, a lot of times I've gotten them into the studios and we've come up with arrangements sort of just on the spot. Sometimes they want to hear me play it on the piano. They work very often from like how I play on the piano. And I'm not in any way the greatest pianist, but I know I've sung all my life to my piano playing. So the way I play, it's nowhere on the level that Raymond or Shedrick can play, or Daniel Jones, rest in peace, a very close friend of mine, who also did a live rendition that was on one of my records of a gospel piece, Walk With Me. So put it this way, I'm not in competition with them with the way that I play the piano, but they often want to sit with me and have me play it because they know that my voice is in a way married to the way that I play.
Yeah.
That's the tapestry, that's where the sound comes from.
Yeah.
So they'll listen to how I play something and then they'll work from the arrangement from there. And so my renditions of my covers have been just more organic to what I think, like if I had a great band to work with, how I'd want to sing it like that.
So what is therefore interesting to me to note is that your Touch You There was entirely programmed and produced in the box with, I presume Trey was at the helm for this.
Troy.
This particular, Troy.
But a young teenage Trey was there.
Oh,
because
okay.
Trey was like a son to Troy. He was living in the house.
Oh, there you go. I'm partly right.
Baby Trey and adult Troy.
Troy. I meant Troy. Thank you. So, how did you guys decide that you would, finish it up in the box and not hire the musicians like you did with the other tracks? Was there
for my solo albums, when I came to Troy for help with my solo records, I had already recorded certain songs with live bands.
Okay.
And I said, Troy, this is what I've recorded thus far. And he was like, in his own Troy, nah, that blah blah blah, let's do that stuff. He was like, nah, let's do this, let's do that, let's do that, let's do that. I like that, but change that, and I like that, but I don't like that, and blah blah blah. He was immediately very decent, and I needed I'm a Libra, I'm all over the place. I wanted a decisive personality.
Yeah.
But what he did was he listened to what I had recorded on my own.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, I see what you're going. I see the mood that you want to do, but you need more. But he said, but it's too jazzy. He said, you're an R&B guy. You come from R&B. So let me come up with some tracks that can go on a record that can complement what you're doing, because that can be a sound, that can be representative of the sound of your album, but I don't think it should be the core of it.
Mm.
I think the core of it, but it's complementary. So then he went through tracks and said, let me play you these tracks. And then I picked from his tracks. And he said, and also play me other songs that you have. So I started playing him for just different songs that I've written with other people. And he was like, I like that for you. But I needed somebody that was not as indecisive as I was, but also was a close friend and close enough to me to be honest and to sort of take charge and me not be offended and me not feel like, not in competition or whatever. Like he was a great helpmate in a certain kind of way for clarity and for decisiveness and to center the sound that I would end up,
So in many ways, he kind of pushed you outside your comfort zone. How you
or pushed me back into my comfort zone. Because I think because I had been recording as a sort of R&B guy, as an R&B songwriter, I was trying to, on my own, make more of a jazz record.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, well, why are you doing that? And he never thought that it was bad, but he was like, but you're instinctively a soul R&B man. Let's bring back some of who you naturally are and who your audiences know you to be back to your sound. Like, let's not just like go left, like creatively and marketing wise, it doesn't make sense to just go that far left. So he actually brought me back into a certain more commercial way of thinking. Yeah.
So do you think after all these years of working with other producers or co-writers, you've realized who you are, and your brand, and that trusting your co-writer is an important process of getting a good result out?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Trusting your co-writer, but also trusting yourself. Trusting your co-writer. It's like songwriting partnership is really at its best when you have two people who have certain strengths and certain weaknesses, and they know what they are.
Nice. Yeah.
They know, like, I'm strong at this, but this is where I'm weaker. Like, come on in. You know what I mean? And really trusting the balance. It's almost like cooking when you trust the balance of the ingredients. You know what I mean? You know that vinaigrette is made from oil and vinegar. There might be, mustard in it. There may be other things, but like that's the basis of it. Like those two, like I think that songwriting partnerships, I love songwriting. I love Lennon and McCartney. I love Ashford and Simpson. I love Elton John and Bernie Taupin. I love, I could go on and on and on about, these songwriting, these iconic Rodgers and Hammerstein, these iconic songwriting partnerships. Bacharach and David. And I think when I've studied them, one was concentrating on one strength and the other was concentrating on another strength. And they were both filling each other's strengths and weaknesses. And they're both friends. They generally have been good personal friendships of great respect, great honesty. You want to have great respect and great honesty, but you also want to trust yourself. And when I say trust yourself, it's like, trust yourself to like, let whatever comes out of you come out of you. Like, you don't want to like be so nervous that like you won't let your good idea come out because you're too afraid that it's not good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's a song as a child I love called Sing a Song, Make It Simple. Like, don't worry that it's not good enough for anyone else to hear. Just sing a song. I think that collaborating and writing with other people has that message, that has that tenet in it as well.
Wow, thanks for reminding me of that song. Was that a Carpenter song or did they do a cover of it?
It was I don't know if they were the original, but I remember them singing it.
I remember them singing it and I really liked it.
Gorgeous.
It spoke to me.
Yeah, it spoke to me too.
So I have a final question for you.
Yeah.
Where a songwriter used to be seen to be cool, the idea of being a top liner is now the fashionable thing, believe it or not.
Yes.
Do you have any thoughts about this?
Pride. I'm proud. I'm very proud. I'm proud that a lot of top liners, and especially in R&B, like I'm proud that somebody like Neo became a star. You know, I tried as a top liner in and out of these studios and with all these executives, like, hey, give me a chance too. It didn't happen for me the way I wanted it to, but I'm proud. And I've never met Neo, but like, I'm proud that he got a chance to shine because he's this great, amazing songwriter and he can sing his behind off. So I have a lot of pride for people. I'm proud of people, like there's a great songwriter named Makeba Riddick, written lots of songs for Destiny's Child, major pop hit making, really big hit making songwriter. I bumped into her one day with Prince Charles actually at the studio. And
very nice.
And she stopped me. She said, "Are you Gordon Chambers?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "I'm Makeba Riddick." And she said, "I just want to tell you that I'm such a fan of you." I said, "Really, Makeba?" Because she's writing all this young, trendy, like a totally different style. The style of music that I did not think that I was good at. You know what I mean? And this was a different time in the early 2000s when music sounded a little bit changing. So the heart of the 90s R&B that I was doing was kind of changing. So this time I'm really questioning my worth and my craft and my gift and my relevance and all of that. And she came up to me, she said, she said, and she bigged me up. I said, wow. I said, Makeba, really? Like, you do such a different thing. You know, you're amazing. Like, I would not even think that somebody like me would have impacted you. She said, Gordon, she said something I'll never forget. That's the only time I remember. She said, you have always been a great ambassador for, you know, music and songwriting. She said, anybody who's serious about songwriting knows who Gordon Chambers is. And thank you. Oh, that touched me. That deeply touched me. So I'm proud in my little genre of R&B, you know, my world. I'm very proud of that because there was a time I remember, like, we were songwriters, but like we were like hired hands and not treated well, underpaid, undervalued, you know, sometimes not given our proper credit, not given our proper percentages. So when I get out there and I see that there's a next generation that is writing and, you know, making these big power moves and power deals and branding themselves, I'm proud.
There you go. I also wanted to tell the viewers that our good friend PC Alexander was one of the producers on your album as well, introducing Gordon Chambers.
And it's my first 2 full albums. So we spent so many times, hours and hours and hours and hours together mixing those records.
So shout out to PC.
Love that man. I sang at his wedding and he stayed married.
Well, that's an important thing.
His beautiful kids, yes. Yes.
Well, with that said, I want to thank you, Gordon, so much for spending this time with us. And we have totally and utterly enjoyed having you on the live stream. And I hope you had a great time too.
I've had a wonderful time.
Wonderful. And we wish you exciting projects ahead.
Yes.
And here's the applause. Where is it? Here we go.
Is that real people clapping?
And because,
Is that real claps?
It's sample claps.
Oh, they sound real.
It sounds good, doesn't it? And because I'm on a Macintosh, I can do this.
They sound amazing. Yes. Yes. And I want to clap for you. This is my real applause for you for a beautiful interview and thanking you for what you do for
Thanks,
support.
Gordon. I have so many more questions, but you know, it's 4:00 and I don't want to keep you anymore. But we'll have to stay in touch because there might be another opportunity to have you on again, like with PC perhaps. But viewers, I want to also thank you for being so awesome. And please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this interview. And everyone, please stay safe and stay well till I see you again. So I'm going to go to the outro piece, Gordon, but you stay there for a second, okay?